John Mercure here. I've got a great idea. Take your mom to the brunch buffet at the historic Fox & Hounds restaurant. Mother's Day is one of the most special holidays of the year at the Fox & Hounds. The brunch buffet is everything Mom loves for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, including prime rib and an entire room of delicious desserts. And it's all you care to eat. Kids and grandkids under 3 eat for free. How fun is that? Choose from over 100 wines and delicious cocktails to accent your Mother's Day brunch. The Fox & Hounds sits in the heart of the Kettle Moraine Forest. The setting is stunning. Reservations are required. Tables fill quickly for Mother's Day, so reserve today at foxandhoundsrestaurant.com. The Fox & Hounds, just off Highway 167, 2 miles east of Holy Hill. The Spring Drive is just beautiful. Happy Mother's Day. Serving from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. foxandhoundsrestaurant.com. Reserve today. It's the famous and delicious Fox & Hounds.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Rejuvenex.com.
The 1-0 pitch, and this is driven out to center. Mullins back onto the track, at the wall, gone! William Contreras, get back!
The Brewers run the Padres out of town. Our coverage of the series concludes today at 11:35 on your home of the Brewers. News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
It's 11:01. I'm Greg Matzik. This is Wisconsin's Midday News for Wednesday, April 17th. Your top story, new charges for a Milwaukee Public Schools contractor.
I'm Jessica Ty. Boeing back on the hot seat in Washington.
Windy, scattered showers today, some isolated storms, a high of 64, gusty winds as well, up to 30 miles an hour. Cloudy tonight with a low of 45, partly cloudy on Thursday with a high of 55 and rain. It's 60 degrees in Milwaukee at 11:01 from the WTMJ breaking newsroom. A Milwaukee Public Schools contractor already charged in a February drive-by shooting, now facing new charges of sexually assaulting a 16-year-old student. During Oshani Williams' interrogation about the February shooting investigation, she allegedly admitted to being involved in an inappropriate relationship with the student. The student says Williams was his Spanish teacher when he attended Marshall High School. MPS tells TMJ4 News they are aware of the incident, but that Williams was never an MPS staff member.
A grocery store on Milwaukee's north side is back open after the health department temporarily closed it because of rodents.
Pick and Save location at 35th and North, health department investigators found mice droppings in numerous locations throughout the grocery store, including the pharmacy and second floor office. In a statement, a Pick and Save spokesperson says, quote, Pick and Save takes the health and safety of our customers and associates very seriously. We appreciate the collaboration and support of the City of Milwaukee Health Department as we address the isolated incident. The store was allowed to reopen after a Tuesday reinspection. Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
Iran's president warns that any response from Israel to Saturday's attack will be dealt with fiercely and severely. Israel's war cabinet considering its retaliation options today. CBS's Imaz Tiab in Tel Aviv with more.
We have these two very unprecedented things happening, and the fear that Lord Cameron has, and indeed President Biden and others have, is that this tit-for-tat will spiral into something more serious. In saying that, Israel making it very clear that it is going to respond. It hasn't said how, clearly not telling its allies how it's going to do it.
Iran launched hundreds of missiles and drones toward Israel Saturday in response to a strike on its consulate in Syria earlier this month.
Boeing is in the hot seat on Capitol Hill today. The company has back-to-back congressional hearings looking at recent mechanical and structural issues with its planes. ABC's Gio Benitez has a look ahead.
The first is to review an FAA safety report, and then the second is that Boeing whistleblower testifying. Now, this whistleblower is a longtime Boeing engineer who worked on the 787 Dreamliner program. He says parts of the plane's fuselage are fastened together incorrectly, and after extreme use could cause the plane to break apart in midair. He has not provided any proof of this so far, so the aviation community will be watching this very closely.
And finally, a local pickleball player is taking his hobby to a new level in competing in the U.S. Open in Naples, Florida.
All in one day, so we start in the morning, we keep winning, we keep playing.
Todd Hayeski and his doubles partner from Greendale are taking their talents to pickleball's biggest stage.
I hope to come back a U.S. Open champion.
Pickleball exploding in popularity at every level.
That's the great thing about it, is it's easy entry. Anybody can pick it up, but it's difficult to master, so you want to keep playing as well, too.
The U.S. Open boasts thousands of players in a wide variety of age and skill level categories. Vince Vitrano, WTMJ News.
Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. All the indices lagging today, with the Dow currently down 117 points at 37,681. The NASDAQ down 123 points at 15,741. And the S&P 500 also down today about 26 points at 5,025. For sound financial advice from a fee-only fiduciary, it's Annex Wealth Management. Go to annexwealth.com. Click on the Get Started button today.
Sports, traffic, and weather next. Saudi Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 11:05.
I know you have a great dog, right? But you know there's room for improvement. At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we can help. Our attention-based training system uses modern technology to help you better communicate with your dog, even in high distraction. When you schedule a free consultation with us, you will have the opportunity to see our training in action and meet for yourself our happy dogs off leash and under control. Contact Sit Means Sit today at 262-361-3641 or find us on the web at sitmeansitwaukesha.com to schedule your free consultation so you can have a happy, confident, and obedient dog.
David Nason, host of the Fix-It Show, here with my friend Chris Mancuso, owner of Accurate Basement Repair. Chris, what are some signs of basement problems that need to be addressed?
Hey, David, that's a great question. I would say wall cracks, leaning walls, dark or maybe some discolored stains across the walls. Those are really important things to look at.
As a home inspector, I see this often. Don't wait to call the experts I recommend at Accurate Basement Repair today for your free assessment. They're not just good, they're accurate.
We find the best way to protect and uphold the reputation of our business is to hire good people and then take care of them. We really do love the people that work for us, and we care about what's in their best interest. And what that means to you is this: who do you really want on your job? Someone who's maybe underpaid or doesn't feel appreciated, might not have paid vacations or great work benefits? Our folks have all of these things and more. Vito and I make sure they feel appreciated, because happy people do happy work. There's a culture we're building here at Semper Fi that brings respect back to a very hard job. And that's why we know that our crews are going to do the kind of work that you expect. This is Brad Youngluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
The next time you're due for service, visit richlands.com to schedule an appointment at any of our 5 conveniently located facilities.
All AAA approved and all staffed by ASE certified technicians ready to serve you.
Richlands.
Time for a WTMJ sports update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call, That's All Sports Desk. According to ESPN, the Bucks are preparing to take the floor in Game 1 of a best-of-7 playoff series against the Pacers. Without Giannis, head coach Doc Rivers says the two-time MVP is improving, however.
He's doing well. I mean, he's walking around and looks good. He's, I can say, farther than we thought he would be. But just not ready yet.
It should be noted the Bucks have not yet ruled out Giannis for Sunday's game. Coverage begins 5:30 Sunday afternoon on WTMJ. And the Brewers look to avoid a sweep this afternoon. It's the final game of a 3-game series against the Padres. Coverage gets underway at 11:35.
Let's check out the roads with your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. It's really nice for the middle of the work week here, Wednesday, and no crashes to report. Drive times are looking good, with the exception of our one construction area, I-43 southbound Brown Deer Road to downtown. That is a 3-minute delay. Be careful, though. It's a little wet out there on this Wednesday.
Windy and scattered showers today with a high of 64. Those gusts could get up to about 30 miles an hour. Mostly cloudy tonight with a low of 45. Rain hangs out tomorrow morning especially. Partly cloudy then with a high of 55. Sunny and breezy on Friday with a high of 54. It's 60 degrees in Milwaukee at 11:09.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios in downtown Milwaukee, it's Wisconsin's Midday News, making stories come to life. Now, here are your hosts, Greg Matzik and Jessica Ty.
For an abbreviated version of Wisconsin's Midday News today, we'll have Brewers baseball beginning in about 25 minutes. Last time we attempted to have a Brewers baseball game in the afternoon, it was rained out. So
yes,
no worries of that with the roof. However, if it weren't for the roof, we might be talking about a delay or a rain out today.
Yep, there you go. The roof wins again. We do love Milwaukee.
Absolutely. Looking forward to Brewers baseball. They look to avoid a sweep today. Handful of stories that we're covering here at 11:09.
And now it's time for 3 Big Things on Wisconsin's Midday News.
Number 1, Donald Trump's hush money trial goes dark today. He will not be in court, nor will anyone else involved. The judge in the case set aside Wednesdays to do his other work. That's right, the former president's case is not the only one the judge is working on. Judges often set aside one day of the week during trials to work on other matters, so it might sound a little strange at first, like, what, middle of the work week? And the judge is like, no, we're not going to be doing this massive, huge trial. It's actually pretty typical. Meanwhile, yesterday, there was significant progress in court. The first 7 jurors were picked. 11 more needed, and that number includes the alternates.
Once testimony gets underway, the judge said the trial could last about 6 weeks. A lot of that's going to depend on the defense cross-examination of the state's witnesses. During jury selection, one woman told the judge that her sister was getting married in September, prompting the judge to joke that if we're all still here in September, we're all in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. The trial is scheduled to resume tomorrow morning, 8:30 our time.
More court talk. The Wisconsin Supreme Court hearing arguments today in Governor Evers' lawsuit against the Republican-controlled legislature. What we have here is a power struggle. Evers and the legislature going back and forth, seemingly not agreeing on anything. That's been commonplace. The latest, Evers arguing that the legislature is unconstitutionally blocking funding for a state conservation program. Meanwhile, no governor in the history of Wisconsin has issued more vetoes than Evers. In fact, earlier this week, Wisconsin Republicans ignored the latest call to spend $125 million to combat so-called forever chemicals, leading Evers to say he may sue over the issue.
Yeah, that could have a broad impact on how our state government functions, so we'll keep tabs on that one. At number 3, just days away from the Bucs playoff games, Pfizer Forum reveals new food and drink options. I just got the menu, so to speak, delivered to us. Some of this looks really good. The Mecca Burger Bar, they're now going to have spicy pepper jack burger. I'm all about the spice, so yes on that one. Also at the Mecca Burger Bar, that's in a couple of sections. You've got 2 sections on the 100 level. It's also up on the 200 level. Greek fries, Greg.
Yeah, what took so long for that?
Right?
Right. It seems like that should have been a staple as soon as Pfizer Forum opened. I'm glad it's on the menu now. It feels like it's a long time coming.
It does. The Johnsonville sections, 118, 209, 223, they've got a couple things there. They've got a new hot dog, a new burger, also a steak and mushroom sandwich. It sounds too good, doesn't it, to eat at the game?
It does. And there's some imagery. Some of the news stations were covering this, and we had one of them on in our studio, and it always looks amazing.
Yes.
The presentation might be a little different when you buy it at the arena, but the taste should be very similar to what we saw today.
I feel like you need to grab a couple extra napkins when you have something like that.
Yes, I would agree.
Also, pizza, Flower Child Pizza. I'm a fan of that one on Milwaukee Street in downtown Milwaukee. We go there quite a bit. I really like it. They have a couple of areas for their pizza, and they have a cheese curd pizza now, and then they have the Flower Child pepperoni pizza as well. A couple other fun things on here. Popcorn portable, Flamin' Hot Cheeto popcorn. Oh, the kids are going to have a blast with that one. But be careful. Not all the kids like the hot and spicy, but can't you just see the kids with the Cheetos? And
yeah,
then
they're
the hot
touching
Cheeto,
your hand
and
and the seat.
and
Oh, gosh, yes, it's an absolute mess. We do know the times now, so they've come out with the times for the first 4 games of the Bucs series against the Pacers. First 2 will be in Milwaukee, so I mentioned this during sports, but Sunday's game is going to tip off at 6 o'clock, and then the Bucs and Pacers will be on the floor in Milwaukee on Tuesday night of next week for a 7:30 tip. So if you're looking to kind of schedule things, maybe looking for tickets to the games, 6 o'clock tip on Sunday, 7:30 on Tuesday night of next week.
By the way, if you're getting fancy when you're going to the games, if you're in the suites, they're going to have cedar plank salmon, beer can chicken, and dim sum, just to name a couple of things. So lots of options at the arena.
You may not have Giannis, but you can get a tomahawk steak. How about that?
Oh, gosh. Come on, Giannis.
It's 11:14 on WTMJ.
Now there's a simple, easy, and effective way to clean your nose and protect your health. It's called Navage. Navage, available at Navage.com.
Thanks, Greg. Greg Matzik here for Holiday Mazda in Fond du Lac. Hey, Holiday first opened its doors way back when? Back in 1959, as a matter of fact. And they started with partnership with Mazda back in 1978. Fair to say a lot has changed since then. But one thing that hasn't, Holiday's commitment and their decades-long tradition of delighting drivers. That proudly lives on. It's the 65th anniversary sales event. It's going on right now. Time to connect with Holiday and join in on the celebration. Get more Mazda for your money, get more for your trade, and score enticing offers like finance rates as low as 0% on all-wheel drive favorites, including the Mazda CX-30 and the off-road ready Mazda CX-50 turbo models. Get ready for driving season. It is upon us, and experience Team Holiday's hospitality, their genuine guest care, their simplified buying approach, all of the above. It's all stuff that makes loyal fans from its customers and drivers from all over the state. And I'm one of those loyal customers. I know from experience you're going to be in great hands with Wisconsin's #1 dealer of Mazda on your side. Treat yourself to a test drive, find yours, and discover the difference at Holiday Mazda in Fond du Lac. Find them online at holidaymazda.com. It's worth the trip.
Suit up for the $800,000 Sports Car Series at Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee. April through May, score free play, cash, one of 4 new Toyota GR86s or a new Toyota Supra. Play with your club card to earn entries, 5 times the entries on drawing days, and when the Milwaukee Brewers play at home. Got what it takes? Slugger, only at Potawatomi. For more details, visit paysbig.com/sportscar. Must be 21 and a club member to play.
Well, rain should hopefully be moving out before too long. It's still kind of peppering the radar in different parts of the state, but the bulk of the heavy stuff from this morning is now well over Lake Michigan and into the state of Michigan. Might see a sprinkle or two here. We'll top out about 64 degrees. It's currently 60 degrees in Milwaukee at 11:16. Greg and Jessica with you. It is the abbreviated version of Wisconsin's Midday News for a Wednesday. Brewers baseball coming up in about 25 minutes. So 7 jurors have been sworn in to hear the criminal trial brought against former President Trump. 5 more are needed to decide his fate. There will be alternates as well. But not everybody can pass the test, right? Some are staunch Trump supporters. They are on his side, maybe unable to be biased or unbiased. Just the opposite. Some are detractors of Donald Trump and find it impossible to be unbiased in the situation.
The judge wasn't so sure about other potential jurors, excusing a man who once posted about Trump, get him out, and lock him up. At a campaign stop after court, Trump was asked whether he thinks the ones who were chosen will be fair.
I'll let you know after the trial.
At one point, Trump tested the patience of the judge, who scolded him for audibly muttering while his lawyers were questioning a woman about her social media activity. He was speaking in the direction of the juror. The judge said, "I will not tolerate that. I will not have any jurors intimidated in this courtroom."
That's ABC's Aaron Katursky covering the trial. So as you noted, Jessica, it's kind of a dark day, nothing happening at all. Everything resumes tomorrow. So potentially by the end of the week, we'll have all the jurors. And this could start next week, maybe in the first half of next week, the actual trial.
It is fascinating to me looking at who these jurors are. I was just taking a peek, kind of reading up on it, just to give you an idea, just a couple of things. And also where they get their news. I mean, that's a critical part of picking these people as well in this particular case with our former president. Juror number 1, the 4-person, works in sales and has some college education, originally from Ireland, married with no kids, gets news from the New York Times, Daily Mail, and sometimes Fox News and MSNBC. Juror number 2 is an oncology nurse, a native New Yorker who lives with her fiancé, reads the New York Times, and watches CNN. Juror number 3, and I won't go into the details about all of them, but I'll give you just a little piece for some of these others here. Juror number 3, a corporate lawyer, not married, doesn't have kids, gets news from the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and Google. Juror number 4 attended 1 year of college, runs an IT business for training and consulting, told the court he finds Trump fascinating and mysterious, but did not indicate any strong feelings about his politics. Juror number 5, a young black woman who is not married and doesn't have kids, was not aware that Trump is facing charges in other criminal cases, because that's a big one, too, that we've been talking about. This is just one of his cases set to go to trial. And juror number 6, a software engineer at a large broadcast company, recently graduated from college, currently living with 3 roommates in Chelsea. I get a kick out of that one. You know what I mean? Sometimes I think about adults going on jury trial, but here's a young person who just graduated college and lives with roommates, and that is now juror number 6. She gets her news from the New York Times, Google, Facebook, and TikTok.
Okay, there you go. So it's starting to take shape, and as you noted there, I mean, it's kind of all across the board, as juries typically are. But again, you don't know what you're going into, right? You get the call, you get the notice for jury duty, and you have to report at this time, this date, and you walk in.
You get the letter, and then you bring the book, right? Because you don't know how long it's going to take.
Exactly, and you maybe get a free lunch out of it. And then you realize you're involved in the Trump trial. And whoa, like nothing like this has ever happened before. So you can imagine some people's, maybe they're not surprised. Maybe they're going in thinking, I wonder if this is the Trump trial. I wonder if I'm being called in on that one.
I would be wondering that.
There's a zillion things happening in New York. So who knows, right? So I can only imagine what the reaction has been and will be for the jurors who have been called in, the more who are going to come and be interviewed, their reaction to the whole idea of being a juror in this most public of trials.
Well, and what an important case here, too. And when you talk about jury duty, most people, I think it's safe to say most people don't want to do it. Would you agree with that? Most people?
I have never done it. I've been called a couple of times as an alternate and then never brought in for the real deal. So I don't have a great length of experience to call from, saying like, yeah, that's really interesting kind of stuff. Like, part of me says this would be kind of interesting, but not every trial is like it plays out in the courtroom on TV.
Yes. So
right?
Here's the thing. I always find when you talk about jury duty, people are like, oh man, it's something that's going to impact their day-to-day life. I always thought it would be fascinating to get picked. So I was not one of those people who didn't want to do jury trial. And actually, I've gotten that letter twice. The first time I was working in the Quad Cities, and my whole career I've been in news since, 2 days after graduating from college. So I was always under the impression that they wouldn't want me, that they wouldn't want somebody who's so on top of the news and just in that business. That's kind of, and to be honest, that's what a lot of people in news think. Oh, they don't want us. They're not going to pick us. But I'll tell you what, when I was in the Quad Cities and I got that, the time was going to be during what we call our sweeps period. So that's ratings, and stations have gotten away from this. A lot of them have. But back in the day, you could not take any time off during those ratings periods. And I talked to my boss. I was like, hey, look at this. And then she's like, nope, you got to be here during sweeps. And so I understood it, but I also thought, okay, they're not going to care. I know my workplace wants me here. I know my boss wants me here. But I'm like, they're not going to care when I call up and say, my boss says I can't get off for jury duty. So she's like, they always give you one exception. So sure enough, I called and I was talking to the woman, and they'll give you an exception. But I asked her about that. I said, you guys don't want me anyways, right? I'm in news. And she goes, actually, no, that's really not the case. A lot of times they do want you because they feel like you can really look at both sides and be impartial. And I thought that's a good point. And I've always thought about that since. And I did, maybe 6 years ago or so, get called again, but here in Milwaukee. It was Judge Janet Prosevich, actually, who was in the courtroom. So I actually did go as far as being in the courtroom, because sometimes I think the first time it was just I got released. I think they settled. There's something last minute, and I didn't even have to end up going through the whole process. But the second time I did not get picked at the end of the day. And actually later on X, then Twitter, ended up asking one of the attorneys later, hey, was there a reason why I didn't get picked? Did it have to do with me being in the media? But another fun fact here, I imagine they're still doing this, but you could go, if you were picked in the jury during lunch, you had the option to go to the Milwaukee Public Museum. So I took him up on that. I was like, oh, that's great. So I'm going to go over to the Milwaukee Public Museum. And then the judge, when we came back, she said, did anybody end up doing that? I was like, the only one. But I thought, what a great experience. It's such a great spot to be. I hadn't been there in years before that. So I went over and I said hi to the granny and checked out the snake button while other people, I guess, were, getting a sandwich.
Well, we have more than half of the jury ready to rock here. 4 men and 3 women. They'll be back in the courtroom tomorrow as the circus continues in New York. It's 11:23 on WTMJ.
The Brewers are back home, and this series is a matchup between Saints and Sinners. It's up to you to determine who is who.
A conversation between Willie Adames and James McCann. This is not the first time Milwaukee has gotten into a tiff with an opponent this year.
It's the Brewers hosting the Padres at American Family Field.
Laugh with the sinners and cry with the saints.
Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage starts today at 11:35. We are the home of the Brewers, WTMJ.
Underdog Fantasy, are you up and running yet? I'm telling you, with the playoffs here in the NBA, now's a great time to get signed up. Get registered at Underdog Fantasy and play their pick'em game. I've been doing it now for months. It's a blast. It's a fantasy game, but you can win real money. It's Underdog Fantasy. And yes, it's legal in the state of Wisconsin. Here's what you do. Step 1, download the Underdog Fantasy app, or register online at UnderdogFantasy.com. From there, use the promo code WTMJ, and Underdog Fantasy will match your first deposit up to $100. Now you start to get into the fun stuff here. Picking 2 to 5 players from at least 2 different teams, same sport, different sport, doesn't matter, and select higher or lower on player stats. What do we like here? Sal Frelick, more or less? Higher or lower than 1 hit today? I don't know. What are you thinking? I'll go higher for Sal. If your picks hit, you can win up to 100 times your money. Yes, it's legal in Wisconsin. It's Underdog Fantasy. Promo code WTMJ. They'll match your first deposit up to $100 and give you a mystery special pick that you can use on your first entry. That's like a freebie. That'll get you started off on the right foot. It's Underdog Fantasy. Check them out. Promo code WTMJ, legal in Wisconsin, must be 18 years or older and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. It's Underdog Fantasy, promo code WTMJ.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same. But at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high-commission investment products, right?
No. Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee, structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
The 12 best fast food chains in America ranked. If you're headed out on a road trip this summer or maybe spring, follow along here with Fodor's Travel. So they're a travel publication, and they cover off on a bunch of different things. But fast food in America is one of their things they have covered off on here in a recent article that I saw online. And it doesn't take into consideration the big dogs, the Wendy's, the Burger Kings, the McDonald's of the world. These are fast food chains that might appear in multiple states, and in some cases, dozens and dozens of states, but not quite the same worldwide footprint that some of the big dogs have.
And I kind of like that. They left out the massive corporations.
I do too. I don't know if you want to call this boutique fast food, but it's a little different. Not quite at the same size. They don't have the same advertising budget that McDonald's has.
Yeah, though some of them did surprise me because Chick-fil-A made the list. And I do think of that as bigger. I mean, it's not so big like a McDonald's or a Wendy's, but it's still big. But the number one has local ties.
Culver's.
Yeah.
Culver's is on the list. Now, what surprised me about this, if you would have asked me to guess how many states have a Culver's, at least one Culver's, I might have said 15, 16, something like that.
I might have said 12. I know they're out there. It's not just here in Wisconsin, but there's more.
So Culver's is in 26 states in the United States. I did not know that. That's a bigger footprint than I thought. And they said this was the most delicious fast food pit stop in America. There, I said it. If you don't live in the Midwest, it's likely you've never heard of it because their footprint is much more substantial in the Midwest. But there are stores in Arizona, and there's places all over the place. But Culver's was number one on the list, and it was ahead of cult favorite In-N-Out Burger, Chick-fil-A, which
Shake
is
Shack.
Started in the South and has certainly grown. Five Guys, Shake Shack. There's some big names on this list, and Culver's has certainly become that. But it is a little more regional in my mind in terms of its roots because it's a Wisconsin-born company.
For sure. 1849 is when Culver's started, and it was Sauk City, to be specific. Also, fun fact for Culver's, the first Butterburgers were made with an ice cream scoop.
Okay.
How funny is that? So the fresh beef, it was scooped into
they weren't scooping the butter with that.
No, they were scooping the beef with an ice cream scooper. So perfect portions.
And perfectly charred and seared. It's a nice burger, no doubt about that. I like In-N-Out Burger. I do like Culver's better. It's 11:29. News is next.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
One of the best things about being in business for 25 years is having clients recommend AccuNet to their now adult children for help buying their first homes. That's how I connected with Dan and Allison, and let me tell you, they were fast learners. They quickly embraced our most powerful tool for winning offers, Appraisal Wiggle Room. Their first offer was $15,000 over asking and included a provision which AccuNet guaranteed they could afford to make, that they would still pay the higher offer price even if the appraised value came in up to $15,000 short. The result? Accepted offer versus several others on the very first try. And by the way, if the appraisal had come in $15,000 short, which it did not, Dan and Allison would have needed exactly $0 extra at the closing table. If you think all mortgage lenders are the same, think again. Go with a multi-generation mortgage lender that has the tools and know-how to help you win. Click on the blue button today at accunet.com.
Burkhardt Sporting Goods in New Berlin is the baseball lover's destination, with a massive state-of-the-art indoor training facility featuring hit tracks with precision analytics, a huge open turf area, and all the best training equipment you need. So get in here and get ready to get better. And we'll help you with this special offer. Buy 20 batting cage credits for $30. That's 25% off. This is Brian Burkhardt, and if you love baseball and softball like we do,
you can't beat Burkhardt.
153rd and National. If you plan on draining buzzer beaters, the place to start is Burkhardt, where you'll find a great selection of residential basketball hoops from the best brand, Gorilla. We'll handle the installation and take care of everything to make it easy from start to finish. And right now, when you buy from Burkhardt, standard hoop installation is half price. Only $250 for standard installation. You can't beat that. This is Brian Burkhardt, and when you love basketball like we do,
you can't beat Burkhardt.
New Berlin and Fox Point.
I'm Greg Matzik. This is Wisconsin's Midday News. Your top story, recovering after a confrontation in Bayview.
I'm Jessica Ty. A key abortion vote in the Southwest.
Windy with scattered showers today, a high of 64. Gusty winds up to 30 miles an hour. Mostly cloudy tonight with a low of 45. 60 in Milwaukee at 11:31. A man recovering from a reported assault after confronting motorcycle riders on a pedestrian path in Bayview. Gary Hartung lives near the entrance to the Kinnickinnick River Trail. He tells TMJ4 News he was hit multiple times by someone in a group of 6 motorcycle riders.
I watched them as much as I could, trying to get plates or faces or anything. And then I walked among them, and one guy just punched me. I was out, knocked out.
Police are investigating the assault, looking for unknown suspects.
A Milwaukee Public Schools contractor already charged in a February drive-by shooting now faces new charges of sexually assaulting a 16-year-old student. During a Shy Williams interrogation about the February shooting investigation, she allegedly admitted to being involved in an inappropriate relationship with a student. The student said Williams was his Spanish teacher when he attended Marshall High School. MPS tells TMJ4 News they're aware of the incident, but that Williams was never an MPS staff member.
A grocery store in Milwaukee's north side back open after the health department temporarily closed the store because of rodents. During an inspection at the Pick and Save location on 35th and North, investigators found mice droppings in multiple locations, including the pharmacy and second-floor office. The store was allowed to reopen after Tuesday's re-inspection.
Arizona is front and center in the latest abortion battle.
Lawmakers at the Arizona Capitol in Phoenix are set to vote on repealing a Civil War-era ban from 1864 that outlaws abortions in the state except to save the life of the mother. Last week, the state Supreme Court upheld the ban. Then Democrats immediately tried to repeal the law, but were blocked by Republicans. Today, a new vote to repeal the law, but Democrats need every vote, including 2 Republicans, to join them in both chambers of the state legislature. Arizona is one of 21 states to forbid or severely restrict abortion since the overturn of Roe v. Wade. Derek Dennis, ABC News.
Time for news about your money. WTMJ, Annex Wealth Management Market Update. All the indices lagging a little bit today here before the noon hour. I can tell you that the Dow is currently down about 141 points at 37,657. NASDAQ also down today 161 points at 15,703. S&P 500 down about 35 points today at 5,016 and change. For sound financial advice from a fee-only fiduciary, it's Annex Wealth Management. Go to annexwealth.com, click on the Get Started button today. We've got Brewers baseball coming up next year on WTMJ. Brewers and Padres right now.
Another MVP has joined the roster at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Dr. Ryan Stefanchak. Board certified in sports medicine, physical medicine, and rehabilitation, Dr. Stefanchak specializes in non-operative